Okay, we're warming up our engines. I think we're about ready to start. Sorry for the delay. We had a 1 hour work meeting before this regular meeting in the other room, so we appreciate your patience as we get geared up and ready for the regular meeting. I might have to borrow your glasses later. Not right now, but I don't care. Left mine in the other room. Okay. Look. Hey, I like them. Hey, they work too. Okay. I don't know, about 1.5? Yeah. It's really sad when you turn about 45, 50 or so and you start needing glasses to read. I just don't think it's fair, but, right? Well, so did I, but that was for nearsightedness. I've been wearing contacts for years, but, you know. Okay. Welcome to our city council meeting. We, again, appreciate you all being here. We'll get started. First of all, we are pleased to have an invocation by Russ Cashin from the Free Spirit community. Did I say that right, Russ? Okay. And after Russ, then we have a couple of great young men who are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. A couple scouts here. Oh, we have a few more scouts. You should come up with them. Yeah. You don't have to say anything, but you can if you want. You can come up and be with them if you'd like. But we have Tristan Roberts, who will be the voice and lead us in the pledge, and Landon Saunders with him from Troop 578. Russ, let's start with you with an invocation.
So as I said to the mayor, this will be something a little more traditional, so it won't be throwing you off too much. We are going to bolt right after. We're going to go foster another animal, so
awesome.
Our house is getting full of mostly cats.
We got some more for you if you need them.
Oh, no.
Okay.
We didn't want the, well, I said no, and she said yes, and I lost, so you know how it goes. Source of all being, that which permeates and transcends all. We are so grateful for the opportunity to be here, to meet in this life that we have, this expression of duality, and share thoughts and ideas, and create creative moments in this beautiful place. We know that all is one, and that we are unique expressions, each one of us, in this life, that we can share and enjoy and permeate and do the things that give us joy. May we remember that all is love, and that we find love in every moment and every act of voice and thought and deed, that our words are important, our actions are important, and that we do so with that intent of love behind them, for we know that all is love. We pray for unity, for guidance, and for direction in making those choices and decisions in this moment, at this meeting, and throughout our daily lives. As we move into the evening, maybe enjoy the beauty of the environment in which we live, the beautiful green land that is not normally so green. We're grateful for the immense amount of moisture we've had and for the beauty it has created by the nourishment of the desert land. May we enjoy all that is participated in here and in the pledge and in those events that you will engage in this meeting, and for the blessing of being able to love each other and to love all of life and to love all of life's creations. We are grateful for all these things, and may we always have gratitude and thankfulness and joy in our hearts, and we do so humbly. Amen.
Thank you so much, Russ. Thanks, Cynthia, for being here, and anyone, of course, can come and go as you want, so we'll, please, thank you very much. Okay, Scouts, if you'd come forward and tell us what we need to do, Tristan. From the Bloomington Hills area, right, gentlemen? Okay.
May the audience please rise.
We may.
Please say the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May the audience be seated.
Hey, gentlemen, stay here for just a second. We always have to just grill you a little bit. So you're here for Communications Merit Badge? Okay. We do. We saw him, but he's opting to stay there. But yeah, he knows we recognized him as a scout, right, sir? Okay, very good. You can come up if you want, but you don't have to. Okay. So we like to just ask you a couple things because scouting's pretty cool, and we just want to grill you. You remember the scout motto? What is it? Say it nice and loud to the microphone.
Be prepared.
Be prepared. Awesome. You remembered that quick. You remember the scout slogan? What's that?
Do a good turn daily.
Oh, you guys are good. You guys are better than the last group that was. Okay. Okay, so we won't make you do them all, but how about you stand there and tell us the scout law? You know which one that is? It's the long list of things. Okay, so get there close so you're both saying it in the mic. And then what do? Yeah, okay. A scout
A
is?
scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, curious, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Excellent. And hungry, and maybe dirty too, you know. Okay.
Maybe stinky.
And maybe a little smelly. Pretty bad. Stinky, yeah. You guys, you did a great job, and we appreciate it. We hope that all of our young men and young women will do those kinds of things, like the ideals of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts that I think makes great community members. So thank you for being here.
That was
Thanks.
impressive. No hesitation. Got it done. Good job, boys.
Good job. We didn't make you do the oath, though, did we? All right. Any Girl Scouts in the room? Okay. All right. Just don't want to be excluding anybody. Shane McAfee, would like to have him take just a couple minutes to talk about the St. George Arts Festival.
Thank you. It's that time of year for my favorite event. That's the Art Festival. I left up there at your seat the poster of the featured artist this year, which I think is a great artist. And we're excited. Bigger and better this year than ever before. We just try and do things a little bit better. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Like that?
Yep. And so, anyway, what I'd like to do is be sure and invite all the city council members to be sure and come on Friday morning so that you can pick out the piece of art that you like and award your ribbon for it. I believe one of you, I'm not sure which one, is already RSVP'd. If for some reason one of you can't, then let us know so that we can find a substitute judge, you know, that could come and fill in. But we hope that you do it, and I think it's a fun time. And we'd like to invite the public to be sure and come too. It's a free event for 2 days, Friday and Saturday, April 19th and 20th. So thank you very much. We have some little cards that give you the details on where to show up at what time.
Thank you, Shane. Appreciate it. 10 o'clock Friday morning, the 19th, right? For us. Goes all day Friday and Saturday, Easter weekend. And that'll be great to get some people in town because nobody's been here in St. George lately. So empty, the streets. A couple accidents today on the freeway. Hope none of you got stuck in that, but Jimmy did. Okay, also just might mention, it's kind of an arts kind of weekend. See, tomorrow night is Street Fest, and there's also an art walk downtown, right, Betty?
Right.
And Friday night also is the Art Around the Corner gala, and they will be switching out the art exhibits Friday and Saturday. So it's a big art weekend, and
Spider will be going.
Spider will be going away to another web in a galaxy far, far away called Utah County. So that's where the artist lives. Okay. All right. So with that said, let's go forward with our agenda. Adam, before we start, any changes, modifications to the agenda?
You know, I'll just point out one item on the consent calendar. We'll want to pull that out, item G on the consent calendar, number 2. And then other than that, I believe everything is as presented to you.
Okay, very good. Then we will start with comments from the public. And on the first Thursday of the month, we generally do this, and for the first few minutes. So Judy Bozeman has submitted a request, and I like the topic, but I'm going to let you say what it is. So Judy, nice to have you and Keith here.
Thank you. I just wanted to tell you how much we appreciated your visit to Sun River. You guys really pulled out all the stops. It was absolutely amazing that you could bring that many of the departments. The people that attended it found out a lot of information, which I keep telling them how well run the city is. But they really appreciated it, and a couple of the people used the term class act, which I thought was very, very indicative of how it was. So anyway, so thanks very much.
Thank you very much,
And
Judy.
for the people that are listening, there is an event soon, April 11th, another one, and if you get a chance to attend, they should go.
That's at Firehouse Park, I believe. Is that right, Adam?
Yeah, well
Yeah.
worth the time.
6 p.m., just like this one, 6 to 8 p.m. Thank you very much, Judy. That was nice of you to say. We had a lot of people there. I was also very pleased. Department heads, all of you that are here, thank you. I thought you were very well prepared. Appreciated all the displays and the information available both in print as well as just your discussions with people. Some of you might have had longer and more discussions than others. Cameron, Scott, Lori, not so much. Scott, not so much. Anyway, it was, I thought, very worthwhile. Thanks, Adam, for your leadership on that. I think it was a great idea. And we'll be doing 3 more this spring, and then, I don't know, maybe we'll look at the fall, but we'll certainly be doing them every year. I think as long as they work, we'll keep doing them. Okay. So that's all in terms of comments from the public that I received. So we'll go ahead to our consent calendar. Council, do you have any questions? Is there anything you wish to pull off the consent calendar? Otherwise, if you've read all the detail and you're ready to make a motion, I'd accept one at this time to approve.
And Mayor, if I could quickly.
Oh, yep.
I'll just point out items A and B. We're still finalizing the agreements through legal, but we feel like we're close enough on those that you could approve those. And then just a reminder, we would want to pull off item G to have a little bit more detailed discussion right after consent
So we would
calendar.
need that in the motion, that would be
Or to approve items A through F and
subject to
and
legal.
subject to legal review, A and B. Yeah.
Clear?
So moved.
You have a motion then.
Second.
By Michelle and a second by Betty. Discussion on the motion.
I just wanted to have a little fun with the city manager in there on B. That is Sunrock Corporation, not Western.
That is correct. We got it right this time. That's actually why this one is back on, because it was originally identified as the incorrect bidder, and we cleared that up. Everybody's on the same page there, but it was worth bringing back and doing the right way.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And again, thanks to our staff. You make it, it's not as easy as it appears. Members of the public, they've done a lot of work to get those things ready for us. So now item
G,
G.
from the consent calendar. Cameron's going to give us the background on this one.
So this item G, is the slurry seal project. It was incorrectly entered into your calendar or your council action items. Anyway, it's supposed to be Geneva Rock, and it's correct now. It's for the slurry seal project, $298,250, I believe is what it is. But it's, yeah, their schedule on that, Jay works with their schedule and when they're going to be starting it.
And Mayor, if the council was inclined to approve this, we had previously awarded the bid to Intermountain Slurry. So the motion would be to nullify the previous award of the microsurfacing project to Intermountain Slurry Seal and award the bid to Geneva Rock Products for the microsurfacing project in the amount of $298,250.
So moved.
Wow, that was stereo. We're going to give that one to Betty. The motion and the second to Michelle. How's that?
We're smart women.
Yeah, you are. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries unanimously. Now on to number 3.
So item 3, excuse me, is a request to consider amending an existing development agreement recorded against two lots along 1400 East, south of Tamarack Ridge Estates and north of Painted Desert Estates, Phase 9. So this is the area. Here's Painted Desert here, and here is Tamarack Ridge Estates here. So these 2 lots were originally approved as Phase 6 of Tamarack Ridge Estates in the late 90s. But for some reason, they never did record the final plat. And in about 2005, they came forward and so it remained 1 lot. 2005, they came forward to do a lot split and not be part of Tamarack Ridge Estates. And so they were approved to lot split. As part of the lot split, there was an agreement that was done. And the council allowed them back then to split this into 2 lots and then and this is the development agreement. And then there was an easement that also was granted at that time to the city as both parcels sewered back here back here, and then their sewer came out here. And in doing so, then they would build to these pads right here. There's some rock outcroppings here. And that was the agreement. Somebody else is requesting to purchase this lot, and in so doing, would like to amend the agreement. This is Steve Larson's request here to amend it. What he would request to do is to square this off and allow him to develop this lot as shown right here. And here's an aerial you can see right here. So if you square it off, there is some rock disturbance here that would be, or some rock that would be disturbed here if that is approved. Right now it probably goes like this, the lot line, something like that. And so that's the area he's requesting to amend the agreement and just amend that Exhibit B to allow disturbance of this area here as shown right there.
Any questions, council? This is, again, a request to amend an existing development agreement.
Right.
It doesn't require a public hearing, correct, Sean?
There's some funky lots out there because I live out there, and this makes a lot more sense than the way the lot was. So,
yeah, we met on site with the proposal and looked at this with them. John and I did. It didn't look like, I mean, there are some rock there, but it just didn't feel like it was contiguous to anything. It was just kind of an isolated spot. The agreement, if you read it, it states that I think they tried to protect really the rear of these against the golf course so that you know, the native ground would stay, if you look from the golf course up towards these lots. That's kind of what the agreement seems to imply.
Any other questions or comments, council? Otherwise, be ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to amend the existing development agreement recorded against 2 unplatted lots along 1400 East south of Tamarack Ridge Estates Phase 4 and north of Painter Desert Estates Phase 9.
Motion by Michelle with a second by Joe. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Wes. Number 4. Welcome, Jay.
Hi. Council, this item is to update our stormwater ordinance. Every so many years, the state issues a permit to the city for stormwater regulations that we have to enforce. And part of that is to keep up with the provisions of that permit. We have to make some minor changes. And that's what this item does. So we've been working with the legal department, Paula, and also our stormwater manager, Christy, that's here, and getting our ordinance up to date. We recently had an audit, and there's only a few changes that need to be made. Fairly minor.
So anything that we need to go over here, or you wanting to go over those, or not necessarily? We've got them, I guess. So any questions that...
Sorry, I can hit the highlights of those for you if you'd like. The changes on them, the main changes are we're going to change it from a 1/4 acre to 1 acre, so it's actually increasing the size of property before the stormwater permit would kick in and they would have to comply with it. We had it down at a 1/4 lot, and that's pretty small, and our permit didn't actually require us to go that small, so we've increased
And the state
it.
doesn't require it?
Right. No, they didn't. They went
Excellent.
to the acre. We also changed the definition so that we have a definition of a registered stormwater inspector. So anyone who's doing inspections on the stormwater system has to be registered, which just means they have to have training through a certified class on what the rules are by the state, what's required for them to comply with the stormwater inspections. And then they actually have to sign the inspection sheet that they turn into the city. That is obviously the sheet signed by that registered person. So then we can go on the system and check with the state to make sure that they are registered and that they are authorized to sign and do those inspections. So we've added that definition in there and then changed the section so that it clearly states the inspection has to be done by that registered inspector. Another thing that was changed was to change some of the provisions for the appeal process and the right for the city to order penalties. We had in the section that penalties could be imposed, but we hadn't really clearly identified the process for doing that. So we cleaned up that language a little bit to satisfy the state on how we would go through that process. So it would be an escalation where typically you're going to reach out to them and give them a verbal warning saying, hey, you need to get this in compliance. If they don't do that, then they're going to get it in writing. If they don't do that, then they're going to get another notice and they're going to end up with penalties, which are your civil fines if they don't get it into compliance. So it's just an escalation and a tool to help get them in compliance if they're not doing it by just talking and giving them letters. So we can take that next step if we need to. And then we changed in the appeal process to identify the standard for the review of that appeal and identified it as a hearing officer that would be appointed for that. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, council?
Yeah, Paula, just for the public information on this, on the storm water management, the criteria indicated here is for control of the introduction of pollutants into the local municipal storm system. Are we having any particular concerns as to the type of pollutants the public would need to be concerned with as far as how they what they put into the sewer line, streets
Yes.
and all of that?
It's a very strict list. The state has a list. It's in the state law. It's on their websites and on our website. But there's very few things you're allowed to dump down the drain. Like you can't put oil down the drain. You see those signs around where, you know, it says we all live below that. We need to think about what we're putting in our drain. And so there is a whole list there. I can't tell you all of them off the top of my head, but there's very few things that you can legally put in the drain. It's really stormwater. That's what that drain is for, is stormwater.
And that's where the penalties could
Yes.
attach.
So if you were to go out and dump a quart of oil down it, we're going to come in and say, you've got to get that cleaned up. You're going to have to pay for it to get it cleaned up. If they didn't do it, then you could go up to the point of actually having fines against them for not getting it taken care of.
I think it's important to point out that the reason why we're doing this is because the city can be fined for not enforcing it.
Right.
And the fines are a lot more draconian than the fines that we're adopting here. And one other thing, Mayor and Council, is right now in some of our ordinances, as we make the changes, we're recommending that we go to hearing officers. We're not, right now, we're not asking you to appoint one, but if we were to have an appeal, at that time we would come to you and ask you to appoint one. It might even be just someone for that one appeal until we get our ordinances changed, and then we'll come to you with, we might need more than one hearing officers. That's what we're thinking, right, Paula? Not
Yes.
just for this, but for the rest of our codes where there are appeals.
Yeah.
Quick question, when fines, or when we're hit with a fine by the state, are we fined or are they fined, or we're fined and then we collect it from them?
Well,
Depends.
Could be.
Could be.
We're fined and they're fined.
Both can be fined.
Yes, we're all fined.
But does the state collect it directly from the individual if they're imposing it?
If it's a state action, yes.
Yeah, okay,
If
just
it's our
curious.
action here, then we would collect that fine.
Okay.
Am I right, Paula?
Yes. But if the state is fining the city, then the city writes the check for that fine.
Right.
Yeah.
In other words, none of us want to be getting fined for
Right.
this. And we certainly, as you said, Sean, we want to be doing our part to enforce it, because we don't want to spend taxpayer dollars on fines. So,
Exactly.
We all want clean water.
yeah, we want the clean water, we want, you know, and again, we all live downstream, as you said, Paula, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, be ready for a motion to approve this ordinance amending and enacting Title 9, Chapter 14, Section, what is that?
2,
2,
3A,
3A, 7B,
2,
2
5.
through 5, and 8C through E of our city code as has been explained to us.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Betty and a second by Ed. Any discussion? All in favor? Starting with Betty, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Paula.
We have another one.
We got
next.
another one, yep. It's for the civil, this is for the civil penalties, right?
It is. This is the civil penalty part of it. So this is an ordinance to adopt the fee schedule for those fines or penalties that would be going along with violations of our stormwater ordinance. And so we provided you an Exhibit A, which will be the fee schedule. And then that will be attached with letters and notices that are sent out, so they know right up front how much it's going to cost them if they don't get it taken care of.
Excellent.
And so those amounts are on there for the different types of violation. The state actually has a list of 40 on theirs. And if you start marking every one of those fines can add up very quickly.
Because there are a number of deficiencies, and is that daily?
Daily.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any questions on this, council? This is another ordinance, just enacting the fee schedule for the civil penalties for these stormwater deficiencies.
If there's no questions, I would move that we approve the ordinance enacting a fee schedule for civil penalties for stormwater deficiencies.
Second.
Motion by Joe with a second by Michelle. Any discussion? All in favor of this motion, starting with Ed this time, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Number 6, final plat.
So item 6 is a request for approval of a final plat, subdivision plat for a one-lot subdivision for a church at 1140 South and 3210 East. The church is a church for the Church of Jesus Christ. So this is it right here. They will be dedicating a portion of 1140 South. You can see right here that hasn't been dedicated. They've improved it. The one change that you'll see on here is, or what you'll see from the final plat is PRI, Property Reserve, is the underlying property owner. So they're, I don't know how they do their thing, but it goes from PRI to whoever. Anyway, we met with PRI this week, and they're actually proposing to not, so this is 3210 East that was supposed to extend from 1140 up to Mall Drive, or I can't remember what they call it in Washington. Anyway, PRI is actually now looking at not constructing that road here. There's a ditch and a trail and everything that goes from here up, and they're actually looking at some other options to take that ditch, road, and trail through their site. And so we met with them on Monday, and they've actually come back and said, hey, we want to hold off on recording this right now and dedicating a street here. We'll just dedicate 1140 South for now and work out with staff as far as how the road will extend in the future, and the ditch and the trail.
So is this the one that ties or doesn't tie very well to Washington City's plans?
Yes.
And have we talked any more to Washington City? I know Adam and I have been trying to set up a meeting.
Yeah, we met with them, and they showed their proposed subdivision plan for that. It's not Segner, I can't think of their name. Anyway, this right here, they actually have a new road that comes down through here, and then it ties into 1140 South right here. And so it would be too close to the 3210 East Road if that was to come through there. And that's what kind of precipitated meeting with the
PRI?
Yeah, PRI. Man, there's a lot of them. And so that's why when we met with them, they said, hey, hold back. We want to decide whether or not the road will go here with the ditch or the trail, or do you put it in the center, or do you run the ditch and the trail along 3000 and provide a new road up the center. And so they asked to step back and look at their options, but they do need to get this going forward as far as dedicating the one-lot subdivision.
Okay.
So that would be the changes. They won't dedicate 3210 at this time, but 1140 and the one-lot subdivision here.
I mentioned the issue to the mayor of Washington City yesterday, Adam, and he was certainly willing to talk. So, I mean, I think we need to try to make those roads line up. We don't want them to be off by 40 feet or something.
Right. And you have the ditch in there that seems like it'll help everybody in that area as well.
Yeah, because wasn't there some access issues with the parcel? I can't remember.
It was the Washington parcel and how
Yeah.
they could get access to this road, correct?
Okay.
Okay, council, any questions? I mean, so basically, we're sort of kicking the can down the road on the street dedication.
On the street for 3210 East, 1140, like I said, we'll dedicate now, and the one-lot subdivision.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, I'd be happy to move that we approve a final plat for the 1140 South Street Church subdivision.
Second.
Motion by Betty with the second by Michelle. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Number 7, conditional use permit.
Number 7 reads, consider approval of a conditional use permit to allow construction of an approximately 21-foot high RV garage on lot 65 in a Red Butte Phase 4 subdivision at 2588 South, 2310 East. On the screen is the property, and it's a corner lot right here. And I'll show you close-ups of it, but basically they would like to put an RV garage back in here. The applicant is here, Matthew Bills, and it's, now let me show you close-up. Here's again the property. So you'll see in a moment the site plan that shows the RV garage back in here. It's a little faint on the screen, but this is a site plan. I do have a close-up of it. Shows the house, the rooftop, and the RV garage. And this shows the setbacks, 2'6" on the side, 2'6" in the rear, and it has to be at least 6 feet from the house, which it is. And then they'd have a 6-foot driveway here to get into the property. This is showing the east elevation. We measure to the midpoint of the roof. The ridge is up at 19'6" on this side, which is by the neighbors. And I can't read this, but I have another dimension. This shows this side is by the neighbors. Well, excuse me. Let me go here. The red line shows the midpoint of the roof, and it's 17 feet 9.5 inches on the height that's less in height closest to the neighbors, and then with a retaining wall on the applicant side, because of the difference in topography, it would be overall 21 feet, and staff averages those two heights, adds them together, the 17'9" and the 21, so the average ends up to be 19 foot 6.5 inches. And the 17 was on the side that's closest to the neighbors, but this came up in Planning Commission. We were just looking at the one side, the height, which is here, and we've averaged it. So that's why the report says not to exceed 21. And basically, this shows the view looking from the owner's home, and because of the difference in topography, the grade level of the home to their north, then they have a little stairway going up to get into the door. So a door on the side, nothing in the back, and an RV roll-up garage door in the front. And you can see by the floor plan, there's nothing proposed in there, all one story, all one building, just for RV garage and a cross section. This shows the home. Again, it's a corner lot, and back in this area, which is here, is where they're wanting to fit in the garage. And this gives you a better view. This kind of helps with, you can see this is a higher elevation. That's the side where the 17 feet was. And then they'll have a little retaining wall on this side of the RV garage, and that's the difference in height. I think I've covered everything. There is a recommendation from the Planning Commission to approve it. And one of the conditions, number 3, talks about the JUC and getting a letter from them and going in that area that's 2'6". The applicant brought to me today the recorded document that shows he met with JUC, they were fine with it, and it goes against the property, that there were no utilities basically in that area.
Good. I was going to ask about that.
Sorry, Mayor. It is a conditional use permit. There were some conditions that the Planning Commission recommends, and there are 6 of them, and then there are findings because it's a CUP, and you probably want to look at D, aesthetics. Felt that was similar to other residences that you've seen many times, and they weren't concerned. And then item G is just the height, and I put the adjusted height for the 2 sides in there. So that is it.
Neighbors okay?
Have not heard from any of the neighbors. I know that the applicant has spoken with the neighbor immediately to the north about it. If need be, the applicant's here and can comment on that, but my understanding is there's not an issue.
Looks like the conditions, the 6 conditions, are pretty much just the standard ones, and so.
Sorry, Mayor, I was trying to save time and not read them each.
Nope, you're good. Council, do you have any concerns?
Motion to approve the conditional use permit to allow construction of an approximate 21-inch high RV garage on Lot 65 in the Red Butte Phase 4 subdivision.
Second.
Motion by Michelle and a second by Betty. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. And yeah, go for it. We don't really deny many of these, and so in the future, staff will actually be allowed to approve most of them. But thank you for coming through the process. Appreciate you talking to your neighbors too.
Next item is number 8. It's another conditional use permit, the last one, and it reads, consider approval of a conditional use permit for a historic district bar establishment in an Advenir Hotel, which is a Marriott boutique hotel, located in the southwest corner of Main Street and St. George Boulevard. So I think everybody in the community is aware of all of the construction that's going on here, but there's a new hotel, a new boutique hotel that's outlined here, and this is the corner of St. George Boulevard and Main Street. This shows, and the council's seen this many times, the overall concept for this corner: hotel, north apartments with commercial on a first floor level facing St. George Boulevard, south apartments here with some commercial facing Tabernacle. But we'll be talking right now about the hotel. General plans commercial, zoning C4. This is a conceptual way the building would look. Here's Main Street, here's the Tabernacle in the distance, Bear Paw Cafe. And we'll be talking about right here where I'm pointing as part of the lobby and part of a patio area. And where you see the red car coming out is where people would drive, go under the portico, and register and go in the hotel. So this looks quite convoluted. I've got some close-ups of it, but basically this is the overall first floor level, and I'll be showing some detail on this end. And this shows the restaurant and bar. I'll come back to this if necessary. This one's good because you can kind of see all of the seating in all of the area encompassed by the restaurant here. And then this is a close-up of the other end. So you see the tail end of the restaurant. I've kind of outlined it in yellow just to show the areas. And what's proposed tonight is to have inside the hotel, by the lobby, a bar area, and that's what's shown here. They're also showing kind of a gathering area, parlor, and then a patio. And this would have open windows, but it would have railing in here. And it would be railing separating the patio from Main Street sidewalk. Also, as you've seen in many hotels, they'll have a little market area, and that's just to buy sodas or candies or other things. The lobby is here, really encompassing all of this area, and then the check-in when you check into a hotel. But again, the restaurant is here, and then this is a separate part of the hotel for a hotel bar. And this is just a clearer view that doesn't have all the overlays on it. And then I tried to show this, the hotel and the bar, restaurant and the bar together. So, looking from Main Street, this is where you would drive in to check in, and then you would see these two openings here, which are a patio, and then these have railing, and that's separated from Main Street. Also, part of this application in the conditional use permit is on the fourth floor at the, let's see, this should be the west end, is an outside patio area, and I think it's about 1,800 square feet. And that's designated to have guests go there to a spa, fire pit, they can eat outside, or rent it for catering for weddings or other special events. So let me jump to the report, and we can come back to these. Again, this request is to have a hotel bar establishment. A conditional use permit is required. That's section 1010.2, permitted uses, that requires this. The hotel would be operated in a new boutique hotel currently operating under construction within the downtown mixed-use development area called City View. In addition to the first floor level bar, hotel bar, there will also be a 4-foot, excuse me, I'm going too quickly. There will also be a fourth floor outside patio, and that's what I just talked about for special events. Again, it's a conditional use permit on page 2 and 3. At some point, you'll be looking at the findings here. The Planning Commission does recommend approval. And on page 2, some of the conditions would be it would have to meet state requirements for liquor license. It would have to meet local consent. And findings, which are the conditional use permit, item A through K. And then 4 is access. The patio area shall not have access to Main Street. Planning Commission spent a lot of time worried about people passing in and out of that patio area and being able to get into this area right here. There is a narrative in your packet. I won't read it, but it's on page 4 and 5 from the applicant, and it has quite a bit of detail what they envision. There were 4 letters of opposition that were received. They're in the packet. I've highlighted key points. I won't read them unless the council wants me to. I might mention on one of them, I had noticed, it's the 3rd one in, that the concern stated was that they did not want a liquor store downtown. I think there was just a misconception there that it would be like a state liquor store or something on Main Street, and that's just not the
what
case.
it is. Yeah.
So I rushed through this a little bit. The applicant's representative is here. I'm here for questions, and I've got the graphics if that helps. And I can read any of these details if you need it.
Council, first of all, any questions for Ray?
I have a question, Ray, and I should have found this out at Planning Commission, but it's a little hard to tell where that patio sits in relation to a sidewalk because we haven't shown the sidewalk anywhere. So does it come up over the sidewalk?
Sidewalk should be right out here. Let me see if I can go to the graphic, the rendering. Whoops, I'm sorry, I kicked myself out. There. So you can see the sidewalk here, then you've got a small little landscape area. Then you have, you can see the railing in here and the patio areas back inside there.
Got it.
Does that help?
Thank you.
Ray, I have it. Perhaps you can go back to where you show where the bar is inside the structure. Can you show us where the entrance is to the bar as we would measure from the entrance of that bar to the property line, for example, of the Tabernacle located on Tabernacle?
Well, let me see if this will help answer. Along here would be Main Street, and way down where I'm showing the arrow here is basically where you can drive off the street, drive underneath the portico, and this would be your entrance. Then you'd go into the lobby area, you'd check in the hotel, and I mean, there's no walls here. This is the open bar area.
So the entrance to the bar is down right where you have that.
To the hotel, the entrance is here.
Down there. So you'd measure from that point to the Tabernacle, the property line.
You would.
No, I don't believe so, because you would measure from where the bar area is there, essentially. But our staff did take a look at it and measured from the lobby area down. And John, correct me if I'm wrong, we think that that alone provides enough distance from the Tabernacle. Now, the state's the one that ultimately does the final measurements and decides. So we just look at it and say we think it meets it. The state will have that final decision, but we think it meets that requirement.
And while we have the city attorney on this, can you confirm for the public that the liquor law or liquor license for this is regulated all by the state, correct?
That's correct.
And can you give us the distinction between a bar and, for example, a restaurant and the consumption of alcohol and the difference between the license? And I am asking you this because of the concerns that were raised that we have 2 restaurants, Caparotti's on Tabernacle, and which sells alcohol, and you have Alfredo's restaurant right directly across the street from the Tabernacle, which sells alcohol. So I think the public wants to understand why we can allow the sale of liquor within the prescribed 600 feet from a church to those points. So there is a distinction between a bar and a restaurant selling alcohol.
And first and foremost, I would say that state law would allow that to be located there. Obviously, the restaurant liquor licenses have a requirement, and I don't have the percentages in front of me, of sales of food versus the sales of the alcohol. This will cater primarily to those that want to go in and have a cocktail or some type of drink while they're waiting to either go to one of the restaurants, or maybe they're a hotel patron and having a meeting, that type of situation.
So any regulation that, for example, where that patio area is going to be on Main Street and St. George Boulevard, there would be no public access into that patio area from Main Street?
Right. And more importantly, you couldn't, there wouldn't be access for those that would be consuming alcohol to go straight out onto Main Street. They have to go through the building and then back out again. Also would point out that across the street at George's and Painted Pony also serve alcohol as well.
Right, and so we can expect perhaps that restaurant that's going to be inside of the hotel complex, when they want to sell alcohol, they have to come back and get a permit for that.
They'll have to get a restaurant liquor license.
So would have a liquor being sold inside at the restaurant and would have liquor being sold in the bar area.
That's right.
And they're separate licensings approved by the state.
Mm-hmm. We have several locations in the city where they have multiple alcohol licenses because they serve different types. They have different types of services, either catering or a restaurant or a bar or all of them, all of the above.
And just for clarification for the public, the concerns that of a distance from a bar or for alcohol sales to a church, which the tabernacle is considered, what is that? Is that at 600 feet?
I believe that's 600 feet, isn't it, John? Yeah, 600 feet. And we've made, and again, we've done our rough measurements. It looks like it meets it with a little bit to spare. And I would point out that when Alfredo's came in, there was not a crosswalk right there across the street, and so the measurement was different in the entrance for them because you used the pedestrian access route, which would be through the roundabout and back. So they're grandfathered in now for their alcohol license, a restaurant liquor license.
And this is a CUP, a conditional use permit, and we could restrict, let's say, not having a patio area open that would be open on Main Street and still be able to approve the bar?
Well, I think you could, but they could go to the state, and it meets state law, the patio area.
Right.
So
how does the conditional use permit work in that regard?
Right, but I think you could do that, I guess, but then it puts us in a difficult situation because they would meet state law to be able to serve alcohol in that patio area.
So the applicant could come back and say, hey, we're willing not to have the consumption of alcohol right on Main Street, and maybe redesign that. We would be it'd be appropriate for us to ask for the applicant to reconsider that.
I think it would be appropriate if the applicant wanted to volunteer to change their plans. I think they could also say they don't wish to do that and they believe they meet state law.
I didn't catch all at the Planning Commission on that, but I thought that maybe that the Planning Commission approved that, but I thought there maybe was some leeway on that. I just wanted to ask, maybe when the applicant comes up, so he can expand on that.
And maybe you could also explain to the applicant any concerns that you have with them serving alcohol out there, because again, they would have to go back into the building in order to exit that area, and you would not walk directly into that area.
And the same laws would apply as far as smoking out in the bar area. There's no smoking, and there'd be no smoking in that patio area.
The same would apply, yes, for the Utah Indoor Clean Air Act.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you, Ray. Would the applicant like to make any comments? Do you have any questions for the applicant?
I just, I've read the letters in opposition, and to Ed's point that there's several restaurants down there that serve alcohol. I love Capoletti's. I've never gone in and seen any problems with drunks falling out of there. We're talking about a Marriott hotel. Marriott has a very good reputation. I've been in several Marriotts, and there's a bar in there, and we're not talking the one and only.
Right, it's very different.
It's very different, and I understand some of the concerns but I think they're concerns that we don't necessarily need to be concerned about. I think this is going to be a very upscale boutique hotel with a classy restaurant, a classy bar, a classy clientele. And I don't have any problems with it.
Any other thoughts or
So go ahead and preach,
comments?
Mr. Hughes.
So, Joe, where's Jack Daniels made? Is it Kentucky? Tennessee. Lynchburg, Tennessee. Can you buy a drink in Lynchburg, Tennessee? It's a dry county. So, I agree with what Michelle is saying. This is a hotel bar. It's going to be a good establishment. But while we're talking about this, I think it's important that we realize where we live. And it's not just a Utah thing. Other places in the United States have done and experimented with dry counties. And there are a lot of people that like to have a drink, and they drink responsibly. At the same token, there are others who do not. So there are some valid concerns from the community, especially our community, which has a long history of being somewhat dry, although you can always find a drink. So Betty reminds me something of all the time. We don't have to forget of who we are. We don't have to be like every other town. However, it's okay to be welcoming to those that want to come in a responsible manner, have a drink. But as we move forward in the future, I would just hope that we keep in mind that people have been coming here for a long time, and it wasn't to come and get a drink. It was to come here to enjoy our area and to be a part of the people that we have here. So I don't think we need to always bend over backwards to make sure that we're being over-welcoming. On that note, I really wish we would change the billboard down as you come into town so that we're not advertising that you're just coming to St. George to have a drink. But that being said, I'm totally fine with this. It makes sense.
They're at a restaurant, Jimmy.
Right. I get it. I get it. But they can be eating a steak at a restaurant, and I mean a real steak, not a fake one. So, anyways.
That's a private joke.
Yeah.
Facebook.
And I grow beef cattle. So, anyways, I'm just saying this is a good time to talk about this. I think we need to remember that in the future. We're welcoming to those who come. I don't know that we've ever turned down one of these requests for an alcohol permit or a special event. I can't remember one right off the top of my head. People that want to do this responsibly can, but don't think this is just a Utah thing. There are still tons of dry counties across the United States. So,
And on that note, too, I don't think that anybody on this council wants to see a bar on every corner. I mean, we don't.
Right.
But there are people that love a glass of wine with Italian food.
That's right.
I don't happen to be one of them, but it's, it is what it is. You can go to Olive Garden and get a glass of wine, so.
Joe?
I think one other thought too is, it was mentioned in Planning Commission, these won't be $3 or $4 drinks. It's going to be it's not going to be just a beer joint. It's going to be a high-end, classy bar.
Where if I wanted to go into it, I'd probably have to pay $10 for a Coke.
Yep.
So.
Or more.
Or more.
Yeah.
The tabs off it are in the hundreds, $300 or $400 or $500, $600.
So we should just stick
For a
with the
group.
Lions Club, Joe.
Stay with the Lions Club. Yeah.
Mayor, I'd just add, by way of explanation, and that I asked the questions that I posed.
See you, gentlemen.
To
Thanks for
the
staying.
city attorney and on the issues of the licensing and responsibility of the state, because there has been an expression of concern about the distance from a church to a bar, and there is a distinction. I just wanted to make sure it's clearly pointed out. And I don't know whether you guys could hear it, but I kind of heard the voice of two little Boy Scouts that were here a few weeks back on that brewery asking, if you're telling us it's bad for you, how can you be approving it? And we kind of covered a little bit of that, and I think Michelle addressed some of that as far as the need to be able to accept different cultures and different values coming into our city. And I think you even commented on that, Mayor, at that time. So I think we've kind of really thrashed this out a little bit so that the sides that maybe would be concerned about the alcohol, a bar, My only question would be of the applicant is that if he would have any input as far as where you would limit the patio area and how, if you could make any adjustments in there so that perhaps those that are walking on the sidewalk with their families or kids and viewing consumption of alcohol. Did you consider that when you were before the Planning Commission?
Any comments you want to make on that, Matt?
Y'all are tired of me, I know. Matt Hansen, Peg Companies. Also got Jason Neely here. I guess we say with In-Group Hospitality.
Yep. We also own Ginser Grain Restaurant Group, so we own and operate a few different restaurants.
Stay close to the mic, will you?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, we own and operate a few different restaurants kind of this caliber. The clientele that will be coming to this establishment won't be unfamiliar to kind of what we do. And to your point, we are not providing an atmosphere, nor do I even want to get into that game where this is just a bar. We do restaurants. And we have to have an very small alcohol service program because we do need to have that ability to create something for people that are outside of the community and even the people that are in the community that enjoy it. But like you said, most of them would probably go broke trying to get drunk in our restaurant. So we are very aware and considerate of the community. It is something that we're really passionate about, the name of the restaurant, as well as a lot of the stories that we like to tell with our food, and maybe even non-alcoholic beverages or even a play on the alcoholic beverages will be created based on the stories and the history of the area. That's super important to us.
So you're going to do your best to control the situation and...
Yeah, in me and my partners and our business's experience within 25 plus years of food and beverage, we've never had a drunk person that we've had to kick out of the restaurant. I have probably a 45-page alcohol service program and pamphlet that every person that serves alcohol has to go through, which is probably, when we sit in front of the alcohol board and they require that you have this, they look at it and say, you're good, because they understand what we're doing and how serious we take that we'll never overserve anybody. That's a promise.
And Sean, this license is issued to this applicant. If someone else was to buy it, they'd have to come back and get approval too. We could have.
They would have to get another license. That's right. And I've been here long enough that I remember when just a couple years after I got here, when the Main Street Plaza was going up, I had the position that the Tabernacle was a church, and the owners of that said, no, we don't think it's a church, and therefore the distance requirements don't apply. So the mayor and council asked me that time to contact the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which I did, the presiding bishopric office. They mentioned to me that they were actually going to have restaurants that served alcohol in their City Creek project, and referred me back down to the president that was over those structures, facilities at the time, the Tabernacle specifically, who happened to be Tim Martin. That's when I first met him. And Tim's position was, we want a vibrant downtown around our Tabernacle, and we understand that would include the sale of alcohol at restaurants, and if it meets the requirements of the state, they didn't have a problem with it. Now, I can't say that that's the current position, but we did go through that exercise and did actually, there was a restaurant that was proposed for, and it was in there, it was the fondue place, and they were approved for alcohol.
And the state will come back and do the measurements to make sure that they were within...
Yes, they believe me, the state is the one that will have the final say on making sure those measurements are applied.
Thank you.
Good, thanks for the clarification. Council, ready for a motion if you are. Don't want to cut it short, but I think we've had some pretty good discussion, all valid points.
I will make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for a historic district bar established in the Adveneer. How do you say that name? Adveneer
That's okay. We're getting used to it.
Hotel.
We have a motion by Michelle. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jimmy. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. It's looking really good down there. Really looking forward to it. We do need to arrange that. We talked about that. We'll try to figure that out. Thanks, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate the explanations. Okay, I believe we're on item number 9.
Okay, item 9 is a request to consider approval of a final plat for Amira at Green Valley. This is a final plat for a 47-unit residential condominium located at 1999 West Canyon View Drive in the Green Valley Development Zoning is PDR. And this is your plat here. You've seen this already once or twice, I believe. It's just these units here that will all be condominiums.
Remember this one, council? Any questions?
Just to refresh my memory on RV parking there. Will they have some?
I don't know.
No.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Not required. There may be some room, but it's not required. So, any other questions?
Motion to approve the final plat for Amira at Green Valley.
Second.
Motion by Michelle with a second by Betty. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Number
Okay,
10.
Item 10 is a request to consider approval of a final subdivision plat for the residences at 450. This is a 38-lot residential subdivision located at 450 North and 2720 East. So here's 450 North here, 27 East. These are private streets within the development itself. Common area, limited common areas are the driveways, and then you can see the private ownership in the units themselves.
Seems like a good use over there.
Yeah,
Nice to see
it'd be
some
great.
things get finished in that area. Any questions, council? Otherwise, ready for a motion?
Mayor, move to approve a final plat for the residents of 450.
Second.
Motion by Betty with a second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item 11 is a request to consider approval of a roadway dedication plat for Panther Way 750 North and 3050 East, known as M1. So this is the tag and go right here. Their access for their to their development will be off of this road right here. I know it's Panther Way on the west side of 3050 East, as that was done years ago, like Warrior Way, Flyer Lane. It seemed like just as you got past the school, they changed it. So I think the recommendation would be to make this go back to 750 North, like we've done with the other high schools.
Makes sense to me. You know where this is, folks. You've seen it. They've already got, this will be their third location, I believe, in the city. Any questions? Ready for a motion then? Go ahead.
Motion to approve the roadway dedication plat for 750 North and 3050 East.
Thank you. Motion made by Michelle, second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously.
I'd just make a comment, Mayor, that a while back I had a conversation with Coach Hosner of Pineview High School, football coach, and they were interested in having a Panther out there in the roundabout. And so we can see what's happening with the high schools. They like the identity, and it promotes a feeling of belonging and so forth. So it's a good thing.
It's a fun thing. I enjoy that too.
Unless you're a Panther, that's not so great. Yeah, that's good. We can put a biplane anywhere you want.
Flyer's good, and now it's Thunder, right?
There you go.
Getting punchy already, Wes.
Like I only have one item left.
All right.
Okay, item 12 is a request, is a public hearing and consideration of an ordinance for amended final subdivision plat for Lot 34 and 35 in Colony Park subdivision Phase 2. The request is to amend this lot. So this is the lot right now and in their public utility easement, and this is Lot 34. You can see, and I don't know how this happened, but anyways, is they developed this lot somewhere the two properties agreed and allowed this lot to develop here without ever adjusting the property line, which I think is strange. But anyway, so the request now is...
And then they built stuff on it.
Yeah. The request now is to come in and move that property line to here. They have been to JUC and are requesting they're okay with vacating the public utility easement. Their request is not to establish a new public utility easement here. They already have established buildings and structures here and felt like, we've already established that. JUC didn't really never said they had any issue with it.
Because there are no utilities in there?
Right. The one that we will keep for sure is this west or rear property line, as there's an existing underground power line that comes up actually on the lots on the west side, but Power Department felt like they had to keep it there and there for access and so forth. And so we will keep the public utility easement along the rear or west side, but not along the south side.
Makes sense. Council, any questions? Otherwise, ready for a motion. Oh, do I need to do a public hearing? I do, don't I?
Yeah, you do. Sorry.
So I'll open the public hearing for any in this vast audience who may have come to comment on this issue. No? Chief? DC? Okay. Then we'll close the public hearing. Come back to you, council, for your action.
Move to approve the amended final subdivision plat for Lot 34 and 35 in the Colony Park subdivision Phase 2 by vacating the public utilities and drainage easement between said lots and to merge a portion of Lot 34 into Lot 35.
Second.
Good motion by Betty and a second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, starting with Ed, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Wow. Let's see. I don't believe we have need for a closed meeting. Is that correct, Adam and Sean? Excellent. And any reports you'd like to make? We've got a little bit of time. But we don't need to take it. Any reports you'd like to make, starting with Sean? Anything you've got? Adam? Adam's been working his tail off with department heads and Deanna and Chad regarding budget. So good things. Looking, it's easy for me to say, looking good, but I think they're working hard. They'll be ready for us next month. Betty.
Art around the corner, but you've already made the announcement.
I will,
so.
Yep, we'll be there. Looking forward to it. Different location this year. I think it's at the Hilton Garden Inn at, I want to say 6. Okay. Jimmy.
Got nothing. Just remember to come to the breakfast for Switchpoint.
Next
fundraising.
week, is it Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yep. 8 a.m.
It's in my
Yep.
calendar. I will be there.
Yep. You're all required to be there.
Where, Jimmy, and where's it located?
It's at the Hilton, let's see, Garden Inn? Somebody remind me.
That's the one by the Dixie
Yeah.
Center?
No,
No?
No, it's not that one.
it's up
It's a
behind.
Courtyard Marriott.
Courtyard Marriott, yeah. What, Hilton Courtyard, what's the difference?
I always get them mixed up.
You'll be late if you go to
Yeah,
the wrong one, but
right.
yeah,
Just follow
otherwise.
Jimmy. You'll
Yep.
get there.
I'll be
Courtyard
there,
Marriott.
smiling.
Excellent.
And they
Thank
told
you.
me it's okay to bring money.
Yeah, if you want, yep.
That's the idea. Give them a little bit of money, and they do stick to their time schedule. I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, they will
Very
be done
good.
in an hour.
Yep.
Breakfast this time. It was lunch last couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
It's be
Okay,
fun.
Michelle.
I do have to leave early, but
It's fine.
No report, but I would request that somebody change that dumb
Clock.
clock.
Yeah, it kind of throws you off. It's an hour. It's an hour off. We don't want to wait 6 months. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Try to work on that. We don't want to wait for any remodeling or anything to get that changed. Joe, anything? Ed?
Everything's positive, Mayor. I just comment that you've made your time schedule. You'll be able to attend the St. George Musical Theater.
I will.
And I'm telling you, you're going to thoroughly enjoy it.
I'm
It's
excited
really
to see it. Charlie's Aunt tonight.
It's really good.
Also, I meant to mention this at the beginning, but Ram Company, you know, nobody's here except us now, but Ram Company, I think it was a $17 million expansion, ended up being. It is, if maybe we should arrange for our own tour over there so we can all see it. Ed and I were able to be there. It was short and sweet program. Beautiful. Love those engineers. They do it quick, and it's beautiful. They've got plenty of room to grow, kind of to our point earlier, Jimmy, to your point about our own needs. They've got plenty of room to grow, 270 employees. These are good jobs, 44th year of existence. Love these people. They're providing, you know, great jobs. And with Dixie Technical College and Dixie State, I think we're just poised to even do more to provide those kinds of jobs in the future.
And they support everything in the community.
They do. They're awesome. I didn't know until Ray Ganowski mentioned it today that they, kind of like SkyWest, they were on the verge of bankruptcy, and really they tried to sell it and couldn't get anyone to buy it. He said no one wanted it any more than we did. And here they are, you know, these years later. And
you know, it's a real success story when you hear Melcy and Ray talk about it. You could write a book about it. With hard work, how it pays off, and a tenacity to keep at it and make it work and make a success out of something. And the fact they're staying here in St. George, Mayor, they don't sell any products here in St. George.
They have no clients.
Everything goes overseas.
No clients in Washington County. No clients in Utah. And so they get told all the time, you got to move here, you got to move there. So this is a real commitment to our area. I really appreciate it. And it's now on the third generation. Ray and Melzy are still there. They still have offices. But Kevin, their son, runs it, and another, I believe, son-in-law is deeply involved. And they now have grandsons who are engineers and more that are in training as engineers to be there among all the others that are not family. Great company. So anyway, maybe we'll try to arrange something through Sherlane to get us a tour. They would love that. They're very proud of it, and they ought to be. They have all kinds of great clients, mostly in aerospace, and then separately in space with SpaceX and others. But they're now getting into probably autonomous vehicles. So I mean, they're not going anywhere. Kevin promised.
The land speeder is what I want next.
Yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
I wanted to, now that you've gone to things that have passed, the St. George Dance Company had a fundraiser at the Arts Center in Kayenta, and I attended, and it was lovely. They had it was a small gathering, but they had a solid crowd. So
thank you for going to that. And next month we'll have the Doctors Volunteer Clinic fundraiser in the middle of May, right? About the 18th, I want to say. And before that, we got other stuff. We got the National Day of Prayer, and we're going to have a busy time. We got Ironman on May the 4th be with us, all right? May 4th is when the actual Ironman race is. So anyway, I don't think we need to say any more. I need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Michelle to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Jimmy. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, if you dare? I thought I heard a motion out there. Okay. Motion approved. Thank you very much.
You see that?